I heard you talk. I don't know. Like, is there any position within like ethics that you hold strongly? I know one thing would be kind of like argumentation ethics, but like, um, but yeah, like, are you fine debating that view?
I'm a little concerned I won't be able to defend argumentation ethics very well. It's not a subject I'm super familiar with. I think I understand the argument, which is that Hoppe said basically that by basically if you make an argument. Yeah, I'm not even sure I can state it properly. Yeah, I don't want to do argumentation ethics. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine. I mean, like, here. Like, you choose like the topic, and I'm happy to like give you like a stance, and if I truly kind of like disagree with that stance or something.
Well, why don't we start off just broadly, like socialism versus capitalism? Are you a socialist?
Yeah, I don't know too much about like the economic side of it. I think I can give you like kind of like the moral aspect as to why I think like socialism would be probably better, better relative to like just like the just like maximizing kind of like well-being than like capitalism. But like, I mean, if you were going on the empirics, yeah, I don't think I can provide you empirics for it.
That's fine. Yeah, we could do. I think we can start off there and sort of see where it goes. It should meander. Would you like to start and basically describe your point of view, and then I'll sort of do my point of view, and then we can get into asking each other questions.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one thing. Yeah, I think in regarding, I guess to give you like a broad, like a, not broad, I guess like a simple view of like some the ethical socialism view is I think I think some kind of like socialist policies are pretty good in regarding this sort of like value that I hold, that will be kind of like just the like well-being. I think it's good. I think these policies are good for for like the citizens and the people, mainly like a sovereign wealth fund. I think those are pretty good. I think having the sort of like the ability to have like some like I guess control over the economy would also be pretty good. So having a kind of like a worker co-op is pretty good, and having like a welfare system, a welfare state where we have kind of like universal health care is also going to be really good. And those are kind of like the kind of like three positions that I think count in favor of being a socialist than a capitalist.
Okay,
The
great.
way that I'm defining socialism, I guess I think just traditionally just like a social ownership of the means of productions. But yeah.
All right. Well, it sounds to me that you're advocating a little more for social democracy.
Oh yeah, I also take that. Yeah, I think so. I don't know if people disagree on this. Maybe it's just going to be like a vague case, but I think social democracy is socialism. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That social democracy. Well, the way I view it is, it's like an alternate strategy for socialism. You've got your
Yeah, like kind of like the
revolutionary
reformist
Marxists
one.
who want to, take control
Yeah.
with rifles, and then social democrats who want to win at the ballot box, right? So,
Yeah.
okay, so I think I understand your point of view. So let me describe mine. I'm in favor of capitalism, which I view as the traditional definition, private ownership of the means of production. Um, Now, that's not necessarily in opposition to social democracy, right? You can have private
Mm-hmm.
ownership of the means of production and heavy welfare state like they have the Scandinavian model. But anyway, my point of view, I'm in favor of the private ownership of the means of production. I'm a fan of exchange. You know, people producing, trading, uh, money. Yeah, basically that's where I come from. I'm not in favor of the welfare state, although like I don't think it's horrible or anything. But yeah, I would prefer not to have it, I guess. And yeah, I guess that's my point of view. Basically, just capitalism, free markets, no regulations or less regulations, less taxes, no taxes, that sort of thing. Like those are all the positions that I favor.
Yeah, that's fair. You right? Wait, yeah, like a laissez-faire view of capitalism, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Laissez faire, leave it alone. You know, no government intervention. Just people. Let markets can be self-regulating. Let people trade, do whatever they want, and that's going to end up having the best results.
Yeah. So okay. Um. I guess. I mean. Okay. I think I wrote most of it down. So correct me if I'm wrong. Tell me if like I misconstrue like a statement, or maybe I'm not adding any clarity towards the statement or something. Sorry. The first thing you said, capitalism, private ownership of the means of production. You also said kind of like it's not at odds with like social democracy. Is that correct?
Yeah, like in the sense of having a welfare state. Like you can, I mean, pretty much every Western country has both a market economy and a welfare state. But not that I'm in favor of that. I'm just saying uh, that's what the situation is today in the world, I guess.
Yeah, just so you can have a welfare state and a market economy. Okay. Um. Okay. Okay, I wrote it down. Okay, and then the other one is exchange. I wasn't able to, I guess, write most of it down. So you said exchange or exchange or exchange. My bad. What was the point when you said exchange?
Yeah, I'm just like in favor of trade, people trading, exchanging. Uh, it's sort of a core component of capitalism. You got private ownership of the means of production and people trading. Like that's sort of how I view the totality of the system, I guess.
Yeah, and so I put trade and exchange. You have a positive attitude towards it, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay. And then the other one would be you have a negative attitude to like a welfare state.
Yeah, yeah, correct.
Okay, perfect. Um, and then that I mentioned laissez-faire view of capitalism that you're just in favor of. Um, okay, perfect. So yeah, I think I got it, most of it down. Okay. So yeah, I think the first statement is not in odds with social democracy. You can have a welfare state and a market economy. Um, yeah, I don't disagree on the first one you mentioned. Yeah, I mean, I would say we are not uh, we are in agreement, I guess. Okay. Um Yeah, I guess here. So is the I guess do you have like a proposition that we're kind of like disputing? I know we mentioned kind of like socialism versus like capitalism, but I guess what is the criterias um like what is like the criteria for what makes a system better, I guess.
Yeah. Well, first, how do you feel about the definition of capitalism as private ownership of the means of production? Is that like the vernacular you would use?
Um, yeah, I would just say here I'll probably even modify it. So, um, because like, keep in mind, I think under my view of like, um, you've heard of like John Stuart Mill, right?
Sorry?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Um, even under his view of like socialism, like they're like private ownership is not at odds with like socialism at all, right?
Who? Sorry,
It's possible.
who's the person that you're referring to here? The thinker?
Oh, John Stuart Mill.
Oh, John Stuart Mill. Okay, thank you. Yes, I haven't read him or anything, but I've heard of him.
Yeah. He was kind of like the second person to talk about utilitarianism. And his like, I think it was his like what was it? I think it was his uncle Bentham. I don't know if they're like it was his uncle or whatnot. There's something related to him that first talked about it. Yeah,
Bentham?
Yeah, Bentham. Yeah, Jeremy Bentham. My bad. Yeah, should have clarified. It's not relevant. Just like some fun facts, but yeah, like I think his like view, his like liberal socialist views, um, simply is in favor with like a socialist economy and a mixed economy. So I mean, it's possible to have like private property, private property and goods, and capital goods. So I mean, you can like if privately held companies can coexist with like worker controlled enterprises. So I mean, it's not at odds with like private ownership and the means of productions. So I will just modify it and say that your definition should be like like overall almost everything is like private ownership the means of productions, and there's rarely any kind of like social ownership. So I mean, I think that would be kind of like a better like description of what capitalism is, and I can give you like a better description of like what socialism is. So and the way that I'm like viewing socialism is overall overall social ownership means of productions with coexisting kind of like private enterprise. So I mean that's what I think what socialism is. So overall private ownership of the means of the overall means of the productions. Do you have any disagreements with that definition?
No, I'm definitely okay with that. That sounds perfectly reasonable. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So, yeah, in terms of you were asking about like what's the metric? How do we judge the system? And I guess the sort of well-being or the prosperity of the people within it. That's got to be at least one criteria.
Yeah, so one criteria being the increase of well-being, or
Yeah, well-being. Yeah.
increase of well-being.
I mean, I don't want to use happiness because that's subjective, right? But like, people are
Okay,
better
and what
off.
are better off financially, I guess?
Yeah, or in terms of like quality of life or life expectancy. I think there's more metrics than just financially, although that's certainly going to play a part, and it'll affect the other
Yeah,
ones
because
too.
yeah, yeah. So I'm kind of like, for the sake of it, I guess, would you be happy with like the sort of like World Health Organization, giving like accounts, giving like different accounts of like what a good quality of life would be. So they take into consideration wealth, employment, the environment, the physical, and the mental health, education, recreation, leisure time, social belonging, religious beliefs, safety, security, and freedom. Um, and they have kind of like global development, healthcare, and politics, and employment as other fields. But yeah, like roughly, I can type it out if you want,
Is
just
this
so it
the
becomes like
Human Development
simpler.
Index that you're referring to, or?
Yeah. I'll put it in. I don't know if you have access. Let me check your. Do you have? Oh, you don't have a. Oh, you don't have roles. That sucks. I actually put it in the here.
I think
I
Synth
have
is online. You can ask her.
her.
Yeah, like for the to give no gamble like roles.
Oh, true, true, true. Um,
Well, if you're just talking about the
yeah.
HDI, I mean, I've got the UN page on it up here. Like, it's got
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
length of life, knowledge, standard of living. I think it's a reasonable um, starting point for to how to evaluate the systems in
Wait,
question.
wait. Which one are we? Which one are we doing? Just so I can
HDI,
get in the same page.
Human
HDI.
Development Index. It's a measure. I mean, I'm not saying
Okay, yeah.
I
Let me.
necessarily endorse everything the UN or the World Health Organization or whatever have to say, but I think it's a reasonable measure that looks at a number of different factors, including standard of living, but also health and all these things. Basically, what we were talking about.
Oh yeah.
HDI. It
Yeah,
is
yeah. I found it.
for Human Development Index.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fine using this metric. I don't know, as long as you're also fine with it. I just want to have like at least like a grounding where like we get to kind of like point to and see if the empirics side with either or.
Mm-hmm.
So just like already like agreeing with like a grounding of it would be really good. I mean, yeah. Do you want to do like HDI or is something else?
Yeah, HDI or what HDI covers.
But yeah,
It's
you can even like modify if you want. Like I'm happy to grant you a lot of things.
uh
So okay. Um, growth. You said. Sure. Is that how they calculate it? Oh my god, that's insane. Um, life expectancy, standards of living, and much in education, the literacy rate. Okay. Uh, Okay, which one are we using? Which are we using, the new method or the old method?
I didn't know there's multiple methods.
Yeah, there's like two methods. So this is like before 2010. They combined three dimensions. So life expectancy at birth, and longevity. Oh my god, I can't fucking pronounce it. And knowledge and education that measures by the adult literacy rate, the combination of primary, secondary, and like uh, uh, entry gross enrollment ratio. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what the fuck that means. I can give you kind of like a rough idea. So just like EGE, it's just like a statistical measure using like the education sector, formerly by the UN. So it's just like an education index. But yeah, that's like another one. So and then the standard, and then the classic standard of living, by using kind of like natural, logarithm, and they use like GDP, per,
Yeah, now they use PPP, which is it's like based on the the standard of goods, the price of goods as well. So
yep.
it's similar to GDP per capita, but then it's based on how much stuff costs you in your local economy. So it'll give you a different result
Mm-hmm.
than GDP per capita.
Okay. Yeah, that's like the old method. The new method has how many? A long and healthy life expectancy at birth, education index, and then same thing with the standard, decent standard of living. A decent seems fake, but which is like the modifications for why it's new. Look at that. Okay, sure. Thinking as whatever. Either or, same thing.
Yeah,
That's like
either
the
or.
3 points. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And this is like standard we're gonna use for kind of like on average. Sure. So, increasing well-being, we can just say indexed to like what? HDI, and we can just say i.e. we use life expectancy, we use long and healthy life, knowledge, and a decent standard of living. Okay.
So, I guess I'll start by saying that I think there's some examples of countries where you can obviously go way too far with the welfare state, and I think a good example would be Argentina. They've had a really high percentage of government spending on stuff like transfer payments, healthcare, education. They're one of the most educated societies on a per capita basis, but as a result, they've had to finance all of this spending through printing money.
Mm-hmm.
They're at 150% inflation, or were for the last year, and so there can be some negative consequences to having too much of a welfare state, I would say.
Are we sure it's due? I mean, I can grant you there's some part that plays into that, but I guess I feel like the implication is like it's the overall cause. Do we know for a fact that like it's the overall cause?
No,
For
like
why
I don't think it would ever be possible to prove that. It's my hypothesis. There's so many different factors, and I don't think either of us are that familiar with Argentina's economy anyway.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, it's super fucking fair. Yeah.
So that's a good point. We don't really necessarily know. It could be something else. It could be corruption in the government. Maybe the elites are just sort of robbing the public, and that's why the economy's doing so poorly. Yeah, that's true.
Are they in financial? Yeah, because I'm trying to find if. Because keep in mind, like I'm really bad at the empirics, so I wouldn't fucking know either as well. Dude, I don't do the digging. Okay, I don't do the digging. I don't do the digging. I just make the claims. It's
So another example might be Sweden, where Sweden, classic example of welfare state, Nordic model, successful country, but they ran into some serious problems themselves uh, throughout the latter half of the 20th century because they had such a generous welfare state, and they did have to make some cutbacks, and they had a currency crisis of their own in the 80s where inflation was out of control. Similar story, and they had to make some belt tightening measures, austerity measures, just to get things under control.
mm-hmm.
Canada also. Yep. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I was like looking up, kind of like the list as to why their economy is a disaster by
Argentina.
Business Insider. Argentina, yeah. Like, I guess like so they have like kind of the triple digit like inflation, and I think when did this happen? I think they happened.
Well, the thing is, too,
Can't tell.
Argentina's been lurching from economic crisis to economic crisis for a long time.
The government has responded by rolling out price control programs, and last year ordered manufacturers and retailers to freeze the cost of like thousands of goods, including food, drinks, and personal hygiene products. Damn.
Yeah, price controls, they always turn to price controls when there's high inflation, but that just leads to shortages of goods.
Mm-hmm. The best known problem plaguing in the economy by far from the only issues the policymakers are battling. In a year, they measured the inflation topped 100. For the first time in 3 decades, the rate has held above the level since, steadily declining to like levels like 138%. Jesus Christ. That's bad.
Yeah, that's why Argentina, they're basically dollarized. There's about 200 to 300 billion US dollars in circulation in Argentina because you can't hold on to pesos for any period of time. It's 150% inflation. And if you held it on for a year, you would lose half your money. So obviously nobody's going to do that. They would just buy USD or euros, and so that's what they do. They buy American dollars, and they.
Little bro, you talk too much.
Wait, can you please stop and go? Like, just go to your own server. I don't know why you're like here. Okay, continue. My bad, sir. You got interrupted.
That's actually I was done. I was just saying that's why they everyone uses U.S. dollars there for savings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like looking at it, the results. I'm trying to look at the history behind it. Control budget. I'm trying to find like what is the problem of the problem, but I guess the sort of like issue as to why it all started. 'Cause I don't think it's
Yeah.
because of COVID, right?
Well,
Because I think
here
COVID.
in the OECD is saying something. They say in 2015, public spending in Argentina was the highest in the region, but they say amounting to 44% of GDP, which isn't actually that high. France is 52%. 44% is about on par for Canada. It could be because they're more of a developing country. They can't afford the social safety net as much as a wealthier country could. I'm not sure, or maybe it is the corruption. They had the same party in power for a long time, the Peronists, and that might have
Mhm.
something to do with it.
Yeah. I'm looking. Look at the sources. I mean, implementing pesos. $80 blue. I don't know. Is there like? Let me like search up wide history. Argentina. Economic crisis. The most recent one was the current crisis in 1998 to a 4-year depression during the Jesus. Oh shit! I think I found it. So the depression was caused by the Brazilian financial crisis, widespread employment riots, and the fault of the government default in the country's like foreign debt. The rise of like alternative currencies and the end of the peso's fixed exchange rate to the U.S. dollar. Um, damn. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Seems like I don't think. Well, there's probably going to be more aspects of it, but like from what I'm reading, it's like I don't think it has to do with its own policies. It's just like some external factors like they came into play as to why they're like fucked. That would be kind of like the cause of like why we're seeing them still currently in a crisis. But yeah, is there like another example that you want to use or something?
Yeah, so Canada also in '96 we had a debt crisis because of overly generous welfare state spending, and there again they used under Jean Chrétien there was austerity, some cuts, and sort of got things back in line with the OECD
Mm.
norms. So I think we could look at too, instead of looking at the totality of the welfare state, we could look at it sort of program by program. That might be more fruitful. Um, so, for example, public
Yeah.
education. I think that having a monolithic, centralized model of education that basically doesn't change. I think that's a problem. And I think if we had like a free market in education, then you could have competition and innovation between different education firms as they're trying new models, and we might see some improvement instead of the same system.
Um. Yeah. Yeah, sure. So, yeah, I'm just like, as I'm thinking about why, like, there would be, because again, typically when people give that response, is because I think socialism wouldn't have this like competition that like capitalism seems to have, and I'm just like, I'm not sure why. Like, I think, I
Well,
mean,
sorry, just to
there's
clarify,
competition
I'm
over.
talking about the education system as it exists today.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. If we're if we're like indexing it towards public education only, yeah. Sure. So
Which, from my perspective, is the
education.
socialist model because it is like it's state-run public education, free to the end user. You know.
Mm-hmm. Effectiveness versus private, I guess.
Yeah, what I'd like to see is a private system. You know, market-based. Everybody
Doing
just
worse
pays for their own
or being like a.
education.
Um. Here. So. There's a report on the Pan Canada Education Indicators program that
Can you
provides
PM me the
statistical.
link?
Yeah. I'm just reading the thing. Um, and they report including tablets and other products. They present indicators for all Canada, the province, the territories, as well as the selected international comparisons over time. The report does not compare the effectiveness. However, they found that states on average who attend private high schools score higher on academic tests and like age 15 achieve higher levels of education obtained by like 23 than those who attended like public schools. The report also mentions the difference in
But the thing
academic
is here,
performance.
okay, like in Canada, for example, if you want to be a private school that is like accredited, which if it's not accredited, then it doesn't count towards college or whatever, so it's pointless. You have to use the public school curriculum. So it's basically the same system. Uh, it's not really what I advocate for.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I'm in favor of is an unregulated free market, whereas with like the private system, like private schools, it's all set by the state still. Like they control the whole process. It's basically it's very little different from the public education system, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, I guess what's the kind of like the um. Wait, and what claim am I supposed to be attacking? Or I guess defending.
Well, my claim is that a market based free market in education would lead to innovation in terms of the quality of the service delivered, i.e., maybe smaller class sizes or more active learning, more student directed learning. Whereas the socialized system, the public education system that exists today in Canada and wherever you are, other countries, it's all basically the same. There is no very little mechanism for change. It's been the same for the last 100 years. It'll be the same for the next 100 years because there's no mechanism of change or improvement.
Oh, so you're saying that even so under your system, there's a possibility of change versus like a public version, there isn't a possibility. So
Right.
it's impossible for there to be change.
I mean, not impossible, but because the central government can change it, right? Or the provincial government in our case
Yeah.
can make changes, but it's just not a very dynamic system. It's a very static system. It's resistant to change, I would say, rather, because it could be changed, but it's not changed very often or too much of a degree. It's very static.
Mm-hmm. Um. So I'm thinking how I should write it down. Like, um, it's possible for changes in a private
Yeah, I would argue you would see rapid innovation
sector.
because firms are competing for customers, so they're going to try new stuff all the time. Just like Apple's always adding new features to their iPhone, they'd be constantly trying different methods out to see what teaches children the best, what delivers the best results, and then they can advertise on the basis of these results to obtain customers.
Probable.
And they can also innovate on cost as well. The public education system uh, just gets more expensive. You get a lot of administrators and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of just expenses in general. Might not necessarily have to be there if you had different model. Especially now with
Please.
computers, they do a lot of the heavy lifting.
Really? Okay. I guess would this make sense? So it's probable for changes in a private sector and it's least probable under public sector.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
basically, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
okay? And then when we talk about changes, we're just saying it. You're saying kind of like um, eh,
Could be a lot of different things.
class.
They could experiment with class size, or they could experiment with like active learning instead of being in a seat, or student directed learning. I mean, or any number of things that I can't even think of. I'm not even an educational specialist. That's just a few sort of brainstorming that I've thought of. They can think of more.
So experimental. But again, what else? Just um, is that
Yeah, yeah,
okay? I
different
would just say
models of
experimental
teaching, different models of running a classroom.
teaching. So experimental models of teaching.
Even going into vocational training earlier on. That could be another thing that's attempted at different schools. You could have all sorts of different schools that have different methods and different programs, and as opposed to basically in Ontario, Canada, where I'm from, every school across the province has pretty much the same setup, right?
Mm-hmm. I guess I guess one thing I can just say in mind, it's just more of like just like a reasoning thing than like some empirics at hand or something would be like, well, I mean, I agree maybe like so it's probable for changes in private sector and it's least probable under like a public sector. Like I'm just like imagining, I mean, well, not really. I think like if there isn't like a difference between either or, just simply accept the just the way like it gets like kind of like structured. Um, but not even like that or something. Like I'm just like looking at it and just thinking, well, here, I mean, I don't think it's like least probable that like um they have like the possibility for them to experiment with different models of teaching, right? I just don't see like there being like a contradiction with that. And so I mean, yeah, I mean, I think it's possible for them to be likely to change, right, in the future. Currently, right now, maybe it's like likely they're not. I don't know, like they're not known for changing, or we haven't seen them change relative to like private sectors of like teaching or like schooling, right? But I mean, I think the claim I want to make is like, well, I mean, sure, maybe like right now it's like least probable in a sense that like relative to like public private like sectors, we haven't seen them change a lot. Like there's a possibility of them changing, and I think that's like sufficient enough to not be a critique, I guess. Because like, sure, they're not changing now, but I mean, they can change, and that's the important thing. The important aspect of what makes something efficient, the ability of changing. Um, so yeah, I mean, that would be kind of like some idea that isn't empirical, but just more just like reasoning. Like, I don't know. I can just like try to like, I guess, ask, and hopefully we are kind of like on the same page, and maybe there's like a dispute there.
I think actually the fundamental difference isn't even public versus private. It's it's top down versus bottom up control. So, like a school that was sort of like a full on socialist school where like the teachers owned it and ran it, you know, in the sense of like worker ownership of the means of production, would be as uh, responsive or able to change if it was decentralized, if it was at that local level, as one that's in the market economy. But when you have this monolithic, centralized, top-down model where the government uh, has their curriculum and has their sort of set way of doing things, and that's implemented throughout the totality of the system, then that system's going to be resistant to change. Not because it's public or private, but because it's centralized versus decentralized. Does that make any sense?
Maybe give an example or whatnot. Yeah, just give an example or something.
Yeah, so let's say there was like a radical socialist revolution in Listowel, you know, a small town, and the workers seized the means of production there, and including the schools, right? So that school was just sort of its own, or all the schools in that town. I mean, there's 4 schools. They're all owned and operated now by the workers, and it's not like government. It's just the workers. So I think they would be able and probably interested in making changes and altering the system based on what they think is going to work best, you know. And they're also probably the individuals who are best suited to judging whether a change in procedure is going to be beneficial or not, because they do have that direct hands-on experience. Um, so that's an example where you could have a more highly adaptive model, and it could be even government ran, but just with the decisions made at the local level. So I think it really comes down to decentralization, which is a feature of the market economy because the firms are generally, I mean, not really too, I guess, because you have big firms, right, which are not decentralized. But it can be a feature of some market economies where you have smaller, decentralized firms that are highly flexible and adaptive to change. Basically, I think the most important thing for me is I don't think the current model of education is ideal. I think there are substantial areas where it could be improved. Class sizes is an easy one, but I think it would make a huge difference if you had like one teacher to 5 students versus one teacher to 20. You know, they could focus on what needs, what individual needs the students have. You know, they can suggest things to them a lot better than if they're sort of teaching to 20 people. You know, they're basically all strangers at that point, and often they have to dumb down the curriculum to the lowest common denominator. So I would like to see a school system that is more experimental, that is implementing different styles. And I'm not saying I know the optimal style or even a better style, but I'm fairly confident that the current system, which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, has been basically the same the last 100 years. You know, a teacher in a classroom, sort of, they're the authority. The students are the passive recipients of knowledge. Yes, you have projects and whatever, but that's basically the setup. I think there is a superior solution, and I'd like to see certainly a more decentralized model where educators can experiment, can implement different styles of teaching in their classroom.
Classroom. I'm thinking. Yeah, like. So I'm thinking. Yeah, I think it's like likely. It's like highly likely that they can, right? Um. So I mean, I wouldn't. A guy would say. I wouldn't see kind of like the thing being kind of like I guess disputed here, like a um what's the word? Yeah, I'm just like thinking, okay, would they be able to? Um, I think they can, but yeah, I'm not sure. I think, unironically, I just realized, holy shit, I actually do not like econ. I just realized like I despise econ, and I'm getting bored. Um, like I think you could even talk to like Rose or even like what do you call it, like sample. Have you talked to like sample text?
No.
No, you don't. I see your friends with like Duke. Never mind. I like Duke. Duke's super nice. Yeah, I think I don't know. I want to avoid kind of the empirics of it because like I don't know too much about the empirics, and I don't think I'm like even like willing to like say like a stance that I don't really have like knowledge of.
Right.
It is super boring, Rich. Like I just realized um
Yeah, it's too
well
bad too
yeah,
because that's really my focus is on the economics of it. Um,
and it's fair. It's like fair. I'm not gonna lie. Like it I'm actually kind of like, what's the word? Um, like I'm jealous. Like people actually like know a shit ton about the empirics and more towards even like the economics. Because I'm clueless of what like most people are talking about. Um, I mainly specialize just within like the ethics of things. So like if we have this sort of agreement of like this is what makes something good. We
well,
kind of
those
cover
are
the reason.
fundamental questions too. You know, right and wrong, morality, ethics. Those are important subjects. There's no question about it.
Yeah. I guess yeah, like I think I don't know if there's like any other like stances like aren't aren't empirical disputes, mainly kind of like something else. Maybe like value judgments that like clashes like with one another. That's even like more better. But I don't know. If it's like this is the only talk, if it's the only topic that you like keep talk about, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, that's my bad, I guess. I know you had mentioned earlier too that you wanted to sort of stay away from the economic side of things. I guess I have a sort of a myopic vision of things at times, so that's my fault. Sorry about that.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. It's like even like it's like even my fault actually, because like it's like my fault for even like, what's the word? Uh, only dedicating like a very niche, um, what's the word? Dedicating like almost like a niche, um, niche, what's the word? Holy shit, I can't fucking think of the word. It's like I already know the word, but I can't fucking say it. Yeah, like dedicating towards like a niche topic. It's sad. It's super sad. It's like my fault for like doing that. But yeah, I think. Do you have like I guess I'm just curious. Like, is it just like it does like argumentation ethics make sense to you, or is it just like, well, I'm already committed to laissez-faire. I might as well be committed to argumentation ethics or something.
Yeah, it's
Or is
basically
it
the
like something
latter. I would
else?
say is more how for me personally like. So let me see if I can even phrase the argumentation ethics argument, which is basically uh, to make an argument opposed to libertarian ethical norms is self contradictory. To say to make an argument saying
Mm-hmm.
that I can use force against an innocent, for example, is self contradictory because why is that self contradictory? I just read this yesterday because uh,
Because the only way you could dispute that is through arguing, and you like demonstrated already the proof by like arguing against it instead of like beating you up or something. I think that's what they say. Rich Chiga said thoughts on praxeology.
well, praxeology. I mean, we're back to economics, right? Praxeology is the science of human action. I believe I'm a like I'm in favor of. I believe praxeology is a science. The science of human action.
Yeah, right. So I heard someone give an account of it, and it didn't make sense at first. I think they were just saying like, if you have a reason to do something, then you should do it, and that reason would be kind of like, um, I don't know, an agent has or a consumer has like a desire or a preference towards a certain good, a certain like consumer good or something, and they purchase it or something, and that's it. Like
Yeah,
if they if they
what it all
prefer it,
boils down to
then
is the action axiom, which is simply man acts. So man acts or man acts purposefully, and supposedly you can deduce from this axiom the totality of economics. I'm not even sure how that's possible, but that's what they tell me.
yeah. I told someone, okay, what do you mean by I told them to explain what do you mean when you say purposefully? Like it like what idea are you trying to even convey when you say that?
So when
And
you act,
mhm.
you're using your ends to achieve a goal. You've got some goal in mind, and you're taking action towards achieving that goal. And it doesn't even have to be like a possible goal. Like a schizophrenic can act, even though their goal is crazy and their means are ludicrous. To us, to somebody who's not crazy, right? Like Um, but they can act
And
because they've got a goal in mind and they've got methods for achieving that goal, even though it's obviously not going to work and it's not a goal worth pursuing or whatever. So if I wanted to smoke a cigarette and I didn't have any, I would have a goal of smoking a cigarette. My means would be I would walk to the store and I would buy some cigarettes.
find their basically like to me it's just all they're just saying unironically it's just like this is the way that like I think people are just telling me it's just like you're just referring to practical reasons people have towards an action or towards like a goal, right? Like
Yeah.
if a goal for me right now is to debate you, one thing would be like I must listen to you. I must not over talk you. I must believe that you are actually, I don't know, saying a position that's like genuine and not think that you're lying. What's another thing? I must
Well, I think
must,
what you're trying to do is not just debate, but actually have like a good debate. Because you can have a debate and not listen to the other person. People do it all the time, right? Like on Fox News or whatever, they're all just talking over each other. Technically, that's a debate, right? But it's just like a really low quality debate.
Yeah. And I think and the way that like I'm viewing like praxeology is just like they're just trying to say that like there's this sort of like I don't know, humans have this sort of reason to, and this reason could be like kind of like trivial, like a trivial reason, be like all of that the reason. Sorry, all that the reason could be like I don't know. I guess reduced down to would be like a preference, right? So if I prefer something, then I should do it or I should act because I have this preference. So if I prefer, I don't know, new shoes, then I should work or I should find a way to, I don't know, buy those shoes or something. Or if I'm tired or hungry, I think those are preferable or not preferable, then I should find ways to like resolve those things. And I don't know. I think that's the way that I'm like looking at praxeology. Just saying, just simply that. Which I mean, to be fair, I mean I agree. I would say descriptively that all humans necessarily kind of like engage in this sort of like reasons reasons like achieving goals type of way. It's like we can imagine like people who are kind of like criminals who commit crimes, right? They prefer killing, and I mean, to them, they think they're like kind of like they think maybe they have like conflicting like preferences, right? So maybe they prefer.
They're still acting. They just have radically different ends from you and I. Goals.
Yeah, I can imagine some response. Yeah, I'm imagining like someone can just give a response by saying, "Well, I mean, they are rational in a sense of like they're trying to achieve a goal, irregardless of whether or not we want to achieve that set goal, but like they're still trying to achieve that goal, and that makes them rational or something."
Yeah, They're still engaging
I'll just say
in action.
Yeah, like I would just say simply like I don't know if that's still the thing that we're saying that makes someone rational or not.
What do you mean by rational?
Maybe that would be like when I say rational, I'm saying acting with accordance with like reasons, right? And I don't think those are reasons at all. I think.
So when I hear the word
like,
rational, I think that they're using reason.
Really, reason? I guess you can think of it as that. The way that I'm using like kind of like rational, I'm just using it just kind of like a really kind of like basic way. It's just like I mean, you're rational insofar as you act with with accordance of reason, or
Yeah,
you
or
act with
logic.
reason.
That's what the Oxford language definition is: rational, based on, in accordance with reason or logic. So a thief, he's walking around, he sees a bike, it's unattended. He reasons to himself, I would be happier with that bike or with the $20 I can sell it for. So he grabs it and off he goes. I mean, that is a clear exercise of reason and logic. It's just he's immoral, or we disagree with what he did. We condemn it, right? Or I do. I don't know. But
Yeah,
he's still
yeah,
reasonable.
but I wouldn't say. Yeah, but I think I wouldn't say that they're like rational or they're acting with reason or something, because I don't think I consider them. I don't consider that to be like a reason, or like a reason that counts in favor of them doing that action. Like I think I could imagine maybe. Maybe I could grant. I could even grant. I mean, maybe it's a reason in favor of them doing that. Like maybe, yeah. I think if you're happy, then you have some reason to do it. And maybe I can just say, well, I mean, you have a reason to do it, but you also don't have a reason to do it. Maybe mainly because you're breaking the law, or you might get caught,
But
or
it sounds to me like
um,
you're debating on whether or not he should steal. Whereas, if we're talking about whether or not he's acting rationally or irrationally, it's not whether or not he should steal, but whether or not he's using his reason while he steals. He's using reason as in figuring, like thinking it out.
oh, here, like I would say like, um, he's not, he's not, like I agree he is using reason.
Yeah,
I just don't think those reasons
are good.
is the type of reasons that will make someone rational. Um, they're not the right type of
Well, I
reasons
think any
that
any reasons make somebody rational. I think that's what rational means, is using reason. It doesn't matter the quality of the reason.
um using reason. I mean,
Figuring stuff out with your noggin.
I I think uh ooh, maybe maybe I would say, yeah, I mean, maybe that's true. Maybe they are using reason. They're not using the right kind of reason, but they are using reason.
Yeah, they're going
Um
towards bad ends. I mean, bad as in well, if we can't even condemn the ends as bad, uh, who are we to judge, really? I mean, for something as simple as theft. Well, I guess we can judge. We can say we would prefer a society where nobody steals to one where everybody steals. That would be very bad if everybody was constantly stealing from each other. You'd have all sorts of physical confrontations over the theft, and there wouldn't be much wealth produced.
yeah, okay, now I'm thinking about it, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, technically they're not irrational.
Right, right. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
rational.
they're
They're
still
just
thinking
jerks.
about, yeah, they're just like thinking about the action. It's just
Yeah.
like there isn't, they're choosing to not do the right thing.
All right, we found some area of consensus at least. This is a victory
Let's
for discussions
let's
over the
go.
internet. It might be a first.
I know. It's like we're like doing so much like we're like doing so much like light work, and we're like paving this like walk, or this like entire, like, I don't know what you call it, um sidewalk. I don't fucking know.
Side, I guess. If we're paving a walk, it's over the side.
That's true.
All right. Well, it's been a great discussion. I got a jet, but I appreciate you taking the time to talk about these matters with me, and
Yeah,
it was really nice to meet you.
Me too. I'll have you going.
Yeah, I'll probably I'll probably hang around the server, in the upcoming whatever time. So I'm sure we'll chat again.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Have a good one.
Peace.
Take care.